At the end of this week's Parshat, we read the story of the blasphemer. The fellow got so upset that he cursed God. Moshe brought the case to God, who pronounced the death penalty, said the fellow had to be taken out of the camp and stoned. Question 1, why didn't Moshe judge that case himself? We can't relate to the death penalty because we haven't had it in Jewish courts in so long, but back then we did, particularly in the wilderness, when God's hand was so open, self-evident, manna falling from heaven. Moshe, the ultimate human judge, could have judged the capital case, but he didn't. Why? Sensitivity. He was worried the defendant might accuse him of bias, or others might. What bias? Take a look at who the blasphemer was. His mother was Jewish, but his father was an Egyptian man. His father was the taskmaster who had set his eyes on a married Jewish woman, went into her home when her husband wasn't around, violated her. And the product of that union was the blasphemer. The father wasn't just an Egyptian man, he was the Egyptian man, the Ish Mitzri, the taskmaster whom Moshe had killed all those years before and then buried the body. And then after Pharaoh found out about it, Moshe had to flee as a fugitive. So Moshe was concerned, was sensitive. Maybe the defendant's going to say that he's biased. Oh, you're upset about what happened with my father. That's why you convicted me. And so Moshe stepped back and brought the case to God. Question 2, why did the blasphemer have to be brought outside the camp and be stoned? The answer is that the place of execution was always a distance away from the court. Why? To leave some extra time. Because maybe during the time it would take to take the fellow in the death row prison out to the place of execution, one of the judges will come up with a new argument for acquittal. Or maybe the defendant will come up with a new argument why he should be exonerated. They would even send the sage along with the death row prisoner out to the place of execution, so that if the sage would come up with a new argument, he'd be able to signal to the court and they'd bring the defendant back. Question 3, take a look. At the end of the story, after he curses and after God pronounces the verdict, we get this detour, this interruption. We're taught the laws of murder of a fellow person, the laws concerning if someone kills an animal, laws concerning someone who damages, hurts another person, eye for an eye. Go to injurylawyer.com. Okay, that's not in the Torah, it's just a plug for my firm. Then we're taught the laws of someone damages someone else's animal. Why the interruption? The answer is the same thing, mercy, sensitivity. If a judge isn't sensitive to the value of human life and pain and even the suffering of animals, then that person can't be a judge. I remember many years ago when my first child was born, my son, who's now a rabbi in Israel. My Rosh Yeshiva, the head rabbi of the yeshiva where I had studied, called and said to me, Mazel Tov. And now you can be a judge, because there's an actual law, a halacha, that you can't be a judge until you're a parent. Until you're a father, you don't know what mercy actually is. You're not sensitive enough to be a judge. Mercy has to be baked into the judicial process and in all areas of our lives.